The rumors started the very moment the new CEO walked into the building. People whispered that she was cold, demanding, and impossible to impress. She had fired 3 managers in 1 month and cut every unnecessary expense she found. No one dared to talk to her unless absolutely required. But no one expected that the person who would change her heart was the quiet janitor who worked late nights sweeping the marble floors. It all began on a rainy October morning when something unusual happened in the lobby, something that made the entire company stop, stare, and question everything they thought they knew about both of them. Before we get into the story, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment to support the channel. This is True Story Tales, where real, emotional, and inspiring stories remind us that kindness still exists in this world. Now let's begin. The lobby was almost empty when Ethan, the night shift janitor, arrived early for his shift. He was a gentle man in his late 50s, soft-spoken, with tired eyes that still held a spark of warmth. Most employees barely noticed him. He cleaned quietly, spoke quietly, and lived quietly. No one asked about his life, and he never offered much about himself. But that morning, as employees rushed inside shaking off the cold rain, the company's CEO, Miranda Hale, stood near the glass entrance arguing loudly on her phone. It wasn't the argument that drew attention. It was the frustration and something else, something that looked a lot like sadness in her usually sharp eyes. Ethan paused with his mop in hand. He didn't mean to stare, but it was rare to see Miranda look anything other than fiercely composed. She hung up abruptly, her jaw tight, her shoulders stiff, and walked toward the elevators. But then she stopped. A soft melody drifted through the lobby. It was coming from Ethan's cart. Inside the cart, next to his cleaning supplies, sat an old, scratched portable keyboard, faded, small, and missing its stand. Ethan must have bumped into it while moving his cart, because now it played a warm, gentle tune, the kind you'd expect to hear in an old movie. Miranda's head turned sharply. Her eyes widened. "That's Chopin," she whispered. Ethan froze. "Oh, sorry, ma'am. It just turns on sometimes. It's old." But Miranda didn't walk away. She stepped closer, her expression softening in a way no one had ever seen. "You know Chopin?" she asked. Ethan shrugged nervously. "A little. Music helps me get through long nights." Miranda stared at the tiny keyboard like it was a priceless treasure. Then she said something so unexpected that Ethan almost dropped his mop. "When I was 16, she said quietly, I told someone. If you play Chopin, I'll marry you." Ethan blinked in surprise. The CEO, cold, feared, untouchable, was talking about love? Before he could respond, the elevator dinged, and she stepped inside. But right before the doors closed, she whispered, "Chopin was how I survived my childhood." And just like that, she was gone. The moment spread through the company like wildfire. People speculated. They laughed. They joked that maybe the CEO was human after all. But Ethan didn't laugh. He felt something stir inside him, something he hadn't felt in years. The next night, after everyone left, Ethan sat on a small bench near his cart. He placed his fingers on the keys of the old keyboard. He didn't know much, just a few simple pieces his late wife used to teach their daughter. His daughter, Lily, who loved Chopin so much she dreamed of becoming a concert pianist before the accident that changed everything. He hesitated, then began playing a soft, simple version of Chopin's Prelude in E minor. The notes were shaky and uneven, but they carried memory, pain, and love. Unbeknownst to him, Miranda had returned to the office that night to finish work. She was walking toward the elevators when the music stopped her in her tracks. Her breath caught. She followed the sound and found Ethan sitting alone, his back slightly hunched, eyes closed as he played. The tiny keyboard looked almost sad compared to the beauty of the melody he tried to produce. Miranda didn't speak. She just listened. When he finished, she stepped forward. "Where did you learn that?" Ethan startled. "Ma'am, sorry, I didn't know anyone was here." "Don't apologize," she said. "Play another." He swallowed hard. I don't really know more." She stared at him for a long moment, then sat on the bench beside him, something no one in the company would have believed even if they saw it. You play like someone who's lost something, she whispered. He lowered his eyes. My daughter. She passed 5 years ago. She loved Chopin. This was her keyboard. Miranda's face shifted completely. Her voice grew soft, almost fragile. My fiancé loved Chopin, she said. He died before the wedding. I haven't listened to it since. It hurts too much. Two broken worlds sat side by side in a silent office hallway, held together by a beat-up keyboard and the music of a man neither of them had ever met. Over the next few weeks, something remarkable happened. Every night, after the employees left, Miranda and Ethan met in the lobby or the conference room. Ethan played the little he knew. Miranda taught him the parts he couldn't get right. She hummed the melodies. He tapped the rhythm with his foot. Slowly, their evenings filled with something the building hadn't heard in years, music and warmth. Employees noticed a change. Miranda smiled a bit more. She thanked people. She even approved a proposal that supported mental wellness in the company. But the biggest change came one Tuesday evening. Ethan was playing again, this time with more confidence, when Miranda said, "Why don't you use a real piano? There's one in the executive lounge." Ethan laughed softly. I don't think they'd want a janitor in there. Miranda stood tall. You're not just a janitor. You're the first person who's made me feel human in years. He looked at her, surprised. All I did was play. No, she whispered, you were kind. The next night, Miranda unlocked the executive lounge. Inside stood a grand piano, polished to a mirror shine. Ethan stared at it as if it were a miracle. Go on, she said. It's yours tonight. His trembling fingers touched the keys, so different from the plastic keyboard he was used to. He played the same Chopin piece he had practiced countless times. This time, it sounded fuller, deeper, almost alive. When he finished, he turned to find Miranda crying silently. That was beautiful, she said. And then she added something that made Ethan's heart ache in the most unexpected way. Thank you for giving me back something I thought I lost forever. But not everyone understood their connection. Soon, executives whispered. Some made jokes. Others accused Ethan of manipulating the CEO. A few even suggested firing him to avoid distractions. One morning, Ethan found a harsh note taped to his cart. Stay in your place. He crumpled it, heart-sinking. Maybe they were right. Maybe he had crossed a line he never should have crossed. That night, he didn't go to the lounge. He didn't play. He simply swept the floors quietly, head down, fighting back tears. Miranda found him. Why didn't you come play tonight? She asked. Ethan hesitated. I think I've been overstepping. She looked at him with a seriousness he'd never seen. Kindness is never overstepping, she said. And you are not going anywhere. Before he could respond, she added, everyone deserves someone who listens. You listened to my heart when no one else did. The next week, Miranda held a company-wide meeting. Everyone gathered in the lobby, confused. Then they saw it, the grand piano had been moved right to the center. Miranda stepped forward. I want to share something, she announced. Something I learned from someone you all overlook. She turned to Ethan. Play. He froze. Here? In front of them? She smiled. Yes. Let them see what kindness sounds like. His hands shook as he sat at the piano. But when he began playing Chopin, the room fell completely silent. For the first time, everyone truly saw him, not as a janitor, but as a human being with a story, with a heart, with a talent born from love and loss. When he finished, the room erupted in applause. Then Miranda placed a gentle hand on his shoulder and said the words that stunned the entire company. If someone ever plays Chopin with this much heart, I'd marry them. The room gasped. Ethan's face flushed, but Miranda wasn't making a romantic confession. She was making a point, one that left the entire building humbled. It's not about music, she said. It's about kindness.